Just say it.
What is it? It looks like a habit.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's new bike day again today, and I've come to Sheffield to ride a bike that changed an entire category, the Bossnut. Hey Johnny.
Hey man, how are we doing?
Good. So we talked a lot on the phone. It's good to finally get to Sheffield and ride some of your local trails. But before we get into what's actually changed on the latest bike,
Yeah.
what's the Bossnut all about? Because I know what it means to me, but what does it mean to you as the designer?
So the Bossnut is the bike that your mate is going to recommend who's well into mountain biking.
Okay.
I want to get into mountain biking. What bike do I get? And your mate's going to say, just get a Bossnut.
Or he's going to read the MBR review, right? Because
that's right.
it's not like it hasn't had good reviews, right?
That's true.
And not just from us, from everybody. Universally, the Bossnut was regarded as the entry-level full suspension bike of choice. So you had your work cut out.
Yeah.
How did you make it better?
The bike was intended to introduce people to mountain biking and get them hooked, and be their first full suspension bike, and then maybe they would go on to buy something else, a more expensive bike. But actually a lot of people love their Bossnuts, and they would upgrade them over time and keep them, and we really created this community, and it felt great. So the new bike, we thought what we need to do is create a frame that is really worthy of all these upgrades.
Okay.
So that's where we started. The old bike had a certain feel. The main thing about the old bike is that it rode fun, no matter what level of riding you were at.
Yeah, that was the key thing with the bike when we tested, is that a new rider could get on it and just go out and do whatever they wanted on it.
That's it.
Or I could get on it as an experienced mountain bike tester and ride it just as hard as I could a 5 grand bike.
Yeah, and you got what you put into the bike.
Yeah, totally.
And you weren't being held back by the bike at all.
Okay.
So we knew that we had to build it around a frame that was going to stand the test of time.
So is the big change then that you've upped the frame quality?
Yeah, definitely. The whole idea behind the design is longevity. It uses, all the same size large bearings throughout. Got a whole new dropout system, new mech hanger.
You've also got you got a rocker link activated suspension rather than it coming off straight off the seat stays, right?
Exactly, yeah. We learned a lot through the design of the Century, which was our longer travel bike.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of design cues from that bike.
Yeah.
In
it
this
does.
bike.
It definitely looks more like that bike than it actually looks more like that bike than it does the old Bossnut, right?
Yeah, definitely, because we designed the Bossnut, and the Century was what we learned from the Bossnut.
Yeah.
But then this is what we learned from both bikes combined.
I mean, the new bike is a good-looking bike, right? I mean, that kid on the trail up there, what did he say? Just say it.
What is it? It looks like a habit.
Exactly, exactly, and that's a compliment, right? And what I say to him is that this bike costs the same price as your fork.
Yeah.
So that leads us on to something interesting. How much is it?
£1,500.
So a little bit more expensive than the old bike, but the old bike's been out of circulation for a while. There's inflation, and this one's got a dropper post. This is a more polished product.
Yeah, I mean, we could have very easily down-spec'd it to make it £1,000.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't have been a Bossnut. For us, the bike has to be a certain level so that you can have the most fun on it, and it's gonna ride well.
Yeah. I mean, you want a dropper post on the bike, and the old bikes didn't have dropper posts, right?
Yeah, exactly. The dropper post was an upgrade that everybody made straight away.
And that's automatically going to put £100 on the bike.
Exactly.
No matter what.
Yeah.
So the fact that the price has gone up, I think that's neither here nor there. I've also noticed with this bike now, every previous generation Bossnut had 27.5-inch wheels.
Yep.
This thing's a full 29er, right?
It is, and it was something we were really worried about at first, because we really love the way the 27.5 wheels feel.
Yeah.
And also getting kids into riding is a really important thing for us. And getting people into riding at any age is really important. But we decided to switch to 29-inch wheels because this is our trail bike, and we feel like 29-inch wheels really roll fast over
Bumps,
everything.
And yeah, totally.
But the thing we didn't want to lose was the kind of poppy fun feel of the bike with the 27.5-inch wheels. So that's what I think we have captured in this, is a bike that's still playful.
You can bring that in with the suspension.
Exactly,
basically.
yeah.
The other thing that I thought was really interesting, we were talking earlier, was that for smaller riders that don't want 29-inch wheels, they haven't been left out, right?
No, we've done it. We've done an extra small size with 27.5-inch wheels, and that was really important for us. So we've got 5 sizes. So no matter how tall you are, you'll be able to get a Bossnut to fit you.
Johnny, so I realized that bringing a bike in at such a tight price point is no easy feat.
No.
Was there any particular things that were more difficult to kind of get on the bike than others, or was it just all like?
So yeah, there's a lot of the components that we settled on quite early on.
Okay. Things you weren't going to compromise on, right?
The suspension.
Right. Okay.
Right? So the suspension has to be a certain level for the bike to get the feel out of the bike that we want.
And I like the fact that it's RockShox because you can get it serviced.
Yeah.
It's not disposable.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big plus.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what else was it?
The drivetrain actually was a pretty obvious choice because when this Shimano Q stuff came along, we were like, okay, this is really well priced. Let's ride it. 10 speed, fine, but it does the job.
Yeah.
It just does the job. And it's about adding value where it's important. So things that are going to make a performance difference. So to me, adding a fancy drivetrain isn't going to really add any performance. So the Q's drivetrain, yeah, that went on there. That's fantastic. And the suspension. Things like finishing kit, again, it's stuff that we can get that is factory stuff, you know, straight out the forges, straight out the handlebar factory, unbranded, but it feels good.
Even the little ribbed lock-on grips are cool, right?
So they actually took quite a while to pin down. So,
okay.
So we the contact points for me are really important. And like coming from BMX, I'm used to these big soft grips, right?
Meshies, right?
Yeah, I hate mountain bike grips. Right?
Okay.
And they're just so harsh and they tear your hands up. And I was like, when you're a new rider, last thing you want is a harsh, horrible grip.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we worked with Velo and we found these grips and we were like, these are fantastic. So we're basically speccing these on all our bikes now.
Okay.
Because
they felt good. Like
great.
I mean, we've been riding today and yesterday, and that's like a pretty big compliment. Is that I didn't really notice anything, as in nothing bugged me.
No.
Right.
That's the thing. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So we could talk tires all day long, right? And the old Bossnuts used to run WTBs, and you're now on Maxxis.
The reason we went with Maxxis in the end was actually because this is kind of one of the things that people don't see when you're designing a bike. Where you design the bike and where the different components are made makes a huge difference.
Okay.
This Bossnut is made in a completely different part of the world to the old Bossnut. That means that the supply and the manufacturers who are in that area are completely different. So the factory we're working with has a really good relationship with Maxxis. I said, look, the price of this bike is really, really important to us. And, you know, this has to be the best bike for the customer and we need to get these tires right. So who are your preferred suppliers? Let's talk to them. We talked to Schwalbe, we talked to Maxxis, like I say, we talked to WTB. And what it came down to was that we could get these Maxxis on the bike because they're made in the same country as the bike. And it then meant we could add things like a dropper post, which is also made in the same country.
Yeah, it's a big puzzle.
Yeah, it's not just down to one component.
Yeah, totally. And you're kind of like you might end up robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? And you're like kind of going, you have to go around the whole bike, and like it's really easy for me to turn around and go, well, like there's actually no chainstay protector on this bike.
No.
And it's really easy for me to go, well, come on, there's no chainstay protector. That's crazy. But then the chainstay protector, like if I buy this bike, I could wrap an inner tube around it.
Yeah.
Right? It cost me nothing.
Yeah.
Right? But if the bike was to come with a molded, injection molded, stylish new chainstay protector,
it's going to add a little bit of cost. And so we are working on one and we are going to sell it aftermarket.
So if you do want a polished, finished product to go on the bike,
yeah,
you're going to be able to get one.
It's going to be there. And this is our intention with this bike. This is kind of where we fell down at the end of the old bike's life. There was a bit of a problem with spare parts.
Okay.
Because we lost supply from the original factory.
Okay.
So we then went and made all the hardware in the UK, in Sheffield. And that's something we're continuing with this bike. We want to have certainty of supply of all our hardware. Yeah. So somebody can keep this bike running for as long as they live, essentially.
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, the thing you said at the very beginning was like, you want to make a frame that's worthy of upgrades and stuff, but the frame has to last. For
sure.
For you to do that, right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting, I think that's really cool that the stuff that you've got spare parts that are made in Sheffield, but that's not the only thing that you've got getting made in Sheffield, is it?
No, we're working on a new shock extension, Clever Link, that's slightly longer, which will allow you to mullet the bike.
So that's your MX Link you're going to get.
Yeah.
And that's true, because like, what's really cool with the new bike, it's got low standover height, and there'll be some people that want to ride it, and they maybe like, you've not got very long legs, have
no,
you?
I've got little short legs.
I mean, you said it, not me, right? So like, I'm not, you know.
So when I'm in the air and when I'm jumping, I prefer a mullet.
So you could basically put that link in, It's made in Sheffield, bolted in, put
Yep.
27.5 wheel in, and then you've still got that kind of like, you could ride a large, you could ride a medium, and then you can get the clearance you want for the rear wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's brilliant,
It
right?
gives people options. And starting with the 29-inch wheels, we felt that that was the right bike for most people. But then, you know, people that want to get in the air or do steeper stuff and want a mullet,
Yeah.
the option's there.
So the other thing I want to talk about in this bike is the geo's changed, and we haven't even discussed what travel it's got.
We've gone 140 on the front, 135 in the back. So the Bossnut was a 130 bike.
Okay, so it's gone up in capability a little bit.
Yeah, the Triple B had a 140 fork before, and we loved the way that rode. So we've kind of gone with that vibe on with this one.
And what have you done to the geometry to match the kind of increase in travel?
So we've made the bike more progressive. We've slackened the head angle out 64 degrees. We've lowered the BB. We've lowered the standover. Lowered the seat tube length. We've not gone crazy on the reach.
Okay.
It's still stable, but we want to keep a playful feel.
So basically, it's a modern, capable trail bike.
Yeah.
And what more do you want for 1,500 quid, right?
That's it. We want to get you hooked. We want to keep you into mountain biking.
Okay, well, that's enough on the bike. Should we get some more riding done?
Let's do it.
Oh my God. Now I've had 4 great days of riding on the new Bossnut, so I think I've got a pretty good handle on it. The updated geometry and sizing bring the Bossnut bang up to date, where the fit and handling both feel really well balanced. And even though the suspension isn't super sensitive, it's really effective when you're smashing through big hits. The design retains some of the flex of the original, so it's still got that nice compliant feel, even though like it's not crazy plush. Yes, the dual compound Maxxis tires can feel a little bit sketchy at times, but at least they're consistently sketchy, so you never feel completely out of control, which is a good thing because the new Bossnut really does encourage you to ride hard. Are there any things I'd change straight off the bat? Of course there are. I'd like a grippier rear tire than the Forecaster, and I'd probably like a higher rise bar just so I can get a little bit more of my weight off the fork. And while experienced riders definitely be able to push the limits on the Bossnut, for £1,500 for anyone getting into mountain biking, I think you're going to be hard pushed to find a better value bike, especially if you're paying retail price. And let's face it, the Bossnut was designed specifically for people getting into mountain biking, and with that top quality frame, as your riding ability improves, you can upgrade all of the components and the performance of the bike will increase with you. In a nutshell then, Calibre's pretty much developed the perfect bike for the next generation of shredders. If you want more information on the new Calibre Bossnut, head over to mbr.co.uk where you can read my detailed first ride. Also, if you like these videos where I ride with the people that develop the bikes, just let me know in the comments which bike you'd like me to ride next. What the f going on here? Oh That's the drop you're telling me about? Yeah. Okay. I thought you meant it was kind of a drop, but it was also a roll, but yeah, it's a drop.